Fellow Biafrans, my name is Biafra Superstars Media. I wish to present to you all a comrade known as the Biafran Golden Child as he discuss the Nigerian zoo politics. So if you're ready, join him in this one as he makes you understand what's really going on in the affairs of the zoo. I say let the dead bury the dead. But today, let us have some fun and laugh at the zoo as they collapse internally. If you're ready, I present to you the Biafran Golden Child, the real Biafran Golden Child. Thank you.
Good morning, fellow Biafrans. Good afternoon. Good evening, of course, depending from where you're hearing my voice from. Ladies and gentlemen of Biafran extraction, freedom lovers, and men of goodwill, I hope you are doing well. Thank God for another day. Thank God for another opportunity to excel, to achieve and to succeed. We must keep walking. We must keep chasing. We must keep, doing a day's job for for the day's pay. We must never be inactive. Yeah, because at the Biafra Superstars Media, we are never inactive. We're always current. And that's why most of the times we bring you breaking news, like the breaking news I'm going to give you now. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to this audio today. Yes, today is the 25th day of September 2025. And I must say, mighty happy to bring a breaking news to you. Yeah, you're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what is my breaking news. The breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, is that Tinubu reportedly asked INEC chairman to proceed on leave for betraying APC, shops for successor. Tinubu reportedly asked INEC chairman to proceed on leave for betraying APC, quote and unquote, shops for successor. Maybe you didn't get that breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it came to you as a shocker because, of course, this professor, this Mahmoud, this man has been in the news back to back now for 8 years. I hope most of you know that he was appointed by the late president PMB. Yes, he was appointed by the late president PMB, and he served 4 years. And then President Tinubu, no, he did more than 4 years then. Yes, President Tinubu has retained him, and his tenure will soon end, marking 8 years of his chairmanship of the electoral umpire of this country. But in a rather shoddy manner, in a rather unexpected manner, in a very shameful and unprecedented manner. The president himself, the man who say is the Jagaban, the king of the boys, the emperor of of the rat race, of the zoo called, there was a country. President Tinubu reportedly has asked the INEC chairman to proceed on leave for betraying APC, shops for successor. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to laugh, permit me to giggle, permit me, of course, to celebrate this, because I'll tell you the truth. There's no need mincing words. This man, this professor, has been a thorn in the flesh of freedom-loving Nigerians. This was a man who umpired an election that was supposed to be the fairest, the safest, and the most accurate. Yes, it would have been an election, that would have been fair and free. Unfortunately, like the elephant that was pregnant, we said it here in Biafra Superstars Media after the February 2023 elections. I remember we quoted it here. We said this Professor Mahmoud is like somebody, is like an elephant that was pregnant. And when it eventually got to gestation period, when it got to the date of delivery, it delivered a miserable rat. It delivered a miserable rat, a mouse, very miserable one. And of course, everybody was ashamed. Everybody was disgraced. Everybody was flabbergasted because they had expected so much. This is a man who is a professor of political science. This is a man who said it all, that I am introducing new electoral gadgets. I'm bringing in the rev, and this rev is not manipulative. This rev can never be doctored. I want to assure Nigerians, fellow Nigerians, I want to assure you that the elections I will umpire this February 2023 elections will be the freest and the fairest in the history of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I laugh. I laugh with pain. I laugh with all manners of heartache, because this man deceived Nigerians. He deceived Nigerians, and unfortunately, he foisted one of the most clueless, and totally, dysfunctional government that people have described. Hashtag a government of poverty. Hashtag a government of impoverishment. Hashtag a government of difficulty and suffering. Hashtag one of the most corrupt governments this country has ever had. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have the breaking news today. The same Jagaban, the man who said it is my turn, the man he foisted on Nigerians from the February 2023 elections, has come out to say, go, Professor Mahmoud. We don't want you anymore. Go, Professor, go. We don't want you. You have become a thorn in our flesh. Your sins have overtaken whatever good things you did for me in the past. As I speak to you now, proceed on indefinitely for betraying APC. I'm going to shop for another successor. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Tinubu reportedly asked INEC chairman to proceed on leave for betraying APC. Shops for successor. I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's only proper that we'll find out what has really happened. How did this man get here? How did Professor Mahmoud Yakubu get to become a trash? Why would he suddenly become, a good riddance to bad rubbish? Ladies and gentlemen, let's go into the story. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has allegedly directed the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC in bracket, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to proceed on leave ahead of the expiration of his tenure. According to our insider sources, the directive follows what has been described as Yakubu's last-minute betrayal, quote and unquote, of the All Progressive Congress, in bracket the APC, administration that appointed him. Imo State Governor, ladies and gentlemen, Hope UZODIMMA reportedly met with President Tinubu shortly after the president returned from a 12-day working vacation, alleging that Mahmoud's efforts to register new political parties at the end of his tenure had disrupted Tinubu's preparations for a second term. The governor also claimed that Mahmoud was covertly backing a candidate in the... Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me right. The Imo State Governor, Hope UZODIMMA, reportedly met with President Tinubu shortly after the president returned from a 12-day working vacation, alleging that Mahmoud's efforts to register new political parties at the end of his tenure has disrupted Tinubu's preparations for a second term. The governor also claimed that Mahmoud was covertly backing a candidate in the Imo State governorship election. Following this briefing, Tinubu reportedly requested that Mahmoud suspend all official duties and proceed on terminal leave. Ladies and gentlemen, the decision has thrown the commission's schedule into disarray, leading to the abrupt cancellation of Mahmoud's final quarterly consultative meeting with political parties, as well as a planned session with civil society organizations. Tinubu is now expected to submit the name of a new INEC chairman to the National Assembly in the coming days. It should be noted that Yakubu was first appointed by the late President Muhammad Buhari in 2020 and was reappointed in 2025, making him the longest serving chairman of the electoral body. Ladies and gentlemen, insider sources say the move comes in response to what they described as Mahmoud's many sins, which include a recent quote and unquote last minute betrayal of the All Progressive Congress government that appointed him. I mean, why would he be registering new political parties, including this very one that has become the all-powerful, a party that has, caused a lot of turmoil, a lot of tsunami, if you like, a lot of earthquake for the APC. Yeah, they said Mahmoud seems to have, a secret agenda different from what he has pledged, and his loyalty to the APC government and to the Jagaban was very much in doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got that news clear, loud and clear, that the president, the Jagaban, the man who says it is my turn, a Miloko himself, has directed Professor Mahmoud to immediately proceed on an indefinite leave, just immediately, because he is now no longer the de facto INEC chairman. Yes, that has been it, and it is a very, very shameful one, in particular because this man sold Nigerians. He sold the 2023 elections to Emilio Khan at a price only posterity will find out. Only posterity will find out. Yes, this man, has created a lot of problems for this country, brought a lot of difficulty for Nigerians, and has given us a clueless, an insensitive, and hashtag impoverished and hardship government. Fortunately, nothing goes on forever. What goes around comes around. Professor Mahmoud is now in a terrible state of emotional disequilibrium because, of course, he's not happy. He can never be happy. And equally, many things he ought to have done and concluded is suddenly, removed like, a virus, cancer, like a cancerous tumor in the body. He has been immediately removed, and, completely deleted from anything National Electoral Commission, or if you like, Independent National Electoral Commission. Yes, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu is history. Tinubu has listened to none other than his acolyte, his special agent. Yes, Emir Hope UZODIMMA. Yes, the man who has put Imo State in a very, very tight corner. The man who brought so much difficulty, so much shame, so much, distaste to the mouth of Imo people. This governor has been described as one of the worst governors Imo State has ever produced. This is the man who brought, who exposed, he exposed uh, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu as no longer loyal, no longer trustworthy, and as a complete informant and card carrying member, if you like, a supporter, if you like, of the opposition parties. Yes, of course, Hope was on the woods, met President Tinubu upon his arrival, because he traveled recently. He's always junketing, he's always globetrotting. He just came back. One of those who met him at the airport when he came in secretly was Hope UZODIMMA, the governor of Imo State. Hope saw him and said, "Your Excellency, my Lord, spiritual and temporal, my empire, my emperor, the owner of the empire, my God, take it or leave it." Can you imagine what has happened? Do you know Professor Mahmoud has sold out? Do you know Professor Mahmoud has sold us out? My Excellency, can you imagine registering political parties? Not just that, he's supporting covertly, making everything easy for the man who is one of the Imo State governorship candidates, aspirants. He's supporting him and making things very, very easy for him. And he knows, Your Excellency. Your Excellency knows how important Imo State is to your 2027 ambition. This man is supporting rival political parties, rival governorship candidates to take over from Imo State, to win in Imo State, making it easy for him. giving him all the encouragement, giving him all the necessary gadgets. I think it's about time you do something to him. Otherwise, sir, with all due respect, otherwise, your 2027 story and ambition will be history. Your Excellency, act now before it is too late. Knowing Hope UZODIMMA is antecedents as a man who likes, behind the scenes talk, as a man who likes giving quote and unquote privileged informations, as a man who likes gossip, and of course, one who likes, to be the one who says it all. I am the informant number one of Nigeria, told the president. And of course, the president didn't find that story funny at all. He couldn't breathe. He found it difficult to exhale because instantly, right from the airport, the first thing he did was put a call. Call that INEC. Stupid man for me. Call him for me. Professor who has no sense. Call Professor Mahmoud Yakubu for me. Don't know what kind of professor he is. If he thinks he can betray me, if he thinks he can bite the fingers that fed him, he's sorry. I made him. I'm going to make him. Everything he's gotten from this position, everything I have given him, I'm going to make sure I take it from him. How dare he? How dare Professor Mahmoud Yakubu dare to turn the tiger by the tails? I will frustrate him. I will disgrace him. And his story will not be a palatable one in this country. Instantly, the Jagaban put a call. When Professor Mahmoud picked it, when Professor Mahmoud Yakubu picked it, Your Excellency, welcome back. I heard you. Will you shut up? Don't call me. Don't call me. Don't tell me that. The Jagaban roared at him. How dare you? You think what you're doing I will not know? You think your secret activities will not be uncovered? Yes, you have sinned enough. And of course, I cannot take it anymore. As I speak to you now, I have the privileged information coming from no other than the only hope. The only hope is a governor. The only hope, my right-hand man, the emir, who is a Christian but an emir in Imo State. The man who was first to say, bring the ranch, give them ranch, give the cattle rearers ranch, let them come to Imo State and do their ranching. The man who created an IDP in a university in Imo State, bringing internally displaced persons all the way from Katsina, all the way from Sokoto, all the way from Borno, all the way from the north down to Imo State. And of course, it set Imo people, it made Imo youths take laws into their hands and set up that university at place. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jagaban told Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, your secret activities have been uncovered. Henceforth, from now, right now, at this instamatica time, you don't ever again parade yourself as the INEC chairman. You cease to be the INEC chairman. Get away from there. Get away. Proceed now to leave before I disgrace you. Get out before I do worse things to you. Get out. Never come back. I don't want to set my eyes on you ever again. Get away from here. Get away. Go indefinitely before I change my mind and do you harm. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like it's a story. It seems like it's theater arts. It seems like a scene in one of the stories that touches the hearts. But I tell you the truth, that is the scenario. Because of course, nobody touches the life of Biafrans and think they'll get away with it. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, foisted a terrible government that has continued to plague, to worsen the plight of Biafra. A government that has failed, to release unconditionally our own Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. A government that supported, motivated, bribed, and compromised Alexander Stubbs, Finland, to convict and sentence Simon Ekpa. A government that has continued to make the Southeast, completely ungovernable, while at the same time pretending it is Biafrans themselves who is making the Southeast ungovernable. A government that has continued to, support and sponsor bandits and terrorists all over Nigeria, claiming, of course, that it is the Biafran people who are, engendering and orchestrating all these attacks and counter-attacks. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible says we're not ignorant of the devices of the enemy. Yes, Professor Mahmoud was a big enemy of Biafra because he never gave a Biafran the chance when it was opportune, even though we didn't support the elections, even though we said nobody should go for voting. But we saw in 2023, we saw an election that would have, could have, should have produced a Biafran as a head of state, as a president for the first time in the history of the zoo. Peter Obi was clearly in the lead, but of course, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu did his abracadabra. He changed figures, he changed numbers, numbers began to multiply by arithmetic projection, by geometric projection. Every number started escalating, cascading, running into millions. And all of a sudden, P2B, labor, P2B, labor, turned into APC. Ladies and gentlemen, in climes like the Asian countries, like China, like Indonesia, even like North Korea, someone like Professor Mahmoud Yakubu would have been history long ago. He would have been used since to fertilize, their pumpkins and their vineyards, because people like him don't deserve to live. This is a man whose professorship brought pain, brought hardship, produced nothing but shame and difficulty, cluelessness of governance, and hopelessness, debt to Nigerians. It removed oil subsidy. It brought hardship into the country. It has foisted all manners of bad governance, greed, corruption, avarice, what have you. If it were climes like Asian countries, I tell you the truth, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, by now would have been history, would have been deleted. First the guillotine, and his blood and body would have been used to feed the pigs. Pigs, that's what it is, unfortunately. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Imo State Governor, UZODIMMA, reportedly met with President Tinubu shortly after the president returned from a 12-day working vacation, alleging that Mahmoud's efforts to register new political parties at the end of his tenure had disrupted Tinubu's preparations for a second term. The governor also claimed that Mahmoud was covertly backing a candidate in the Imo State governorship election. Following this briefing, Tinubu the Jagaban, the man who says, "It is my turn," the man who said, "Emilio Con." Yes, he said, "I am the Alpha and Omega. Take it or leave it." Tinubu reportedly requested that Mahmoud suspend all official duties and proceed on terminal leave. The decision has thrown, the commission's schedule into disarray, leading to the abrupt cancellation of Mahmoud's final quarterly consultative meeting with political parties, as well as a planned session with civil society organizations. Tinubu is now expected to submit the name of a new INEC chairman to the National Assembly in the coming days. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, remember that Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, was first appointed by the late President Muhammadu Buhari in 2020 and was reappointed in 2025, making him the longest-serving chairman of the electoral body. Ladies and gentlemen, it might interest you to know, since we are making breaking news, let's complete it. Let me give you a breaking news, breaking news of the names of people who are likely, one of the people who are likely to assume Professor Mohammed Yakub's INEC henceforth. Yes, because of course, nature abhors vacuum. Of course, electioneering is still going on. In a short while, a number of states will be having their elections. Governorship, some states will be having their governorship elections, and the elections will be ongoing. There are massive and last-minute preparations for the 2027 elections. In any month from now, the campaigns will start, and the vigorous campaigns will start. And of course, politicking will start again, where the politicians will come promising everything, bribing the masses, promising to lick the masses' feet, promising to be at the behest of every person. But at the end of the day, as soon as they get the position, they change their numbers, they turn their back on the masses, and they begin to play God. Right now, all of them are claiming, I want to serve. Give me a chance to serve you. I want to serve you. But at the end of the day, they're only coming to govern you, to rule over you, and to lord it over you. That's what it is. But for the records, ladies and gentlemen, since we are breaking the news, let us give you the names of the 5 likely people, who are likely. In fact, 4 very great contenders, even though the president seemed to have a particular candidate in mind. But these are the 4 people who are very, very likely, according to our very, very intimate source, reliable source, to take over from Professor Mahmoud Mohammed. Yes, Mahmoud Yakubu, rather. Yeah, the first person below is the list of the possible nominees that the president is likely to send immediately to the National Assembly. Number 1, a judge of the Court of Appeal, Justice Abdullahi Mohammed Lima. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a judge of the Court of Appeal, Justice Abdullahi Mohammed Lima. Number 2 is Lai Ulurode, a former INEC National Commissioner and retired professor at the University of Lagos. Lai Ulurode, a former INEC National Commissioner and retired professor at the University of Lagos. Number 3, Kenneth Ukegbu. Kenneth Ukegbu is a former director of procurement of INEC. Kenneth Ukegbu, a former director of procurement of INEC. Number 4, last but not the least, Sam Ulumeku. Sam Ulumeku, the current INEC National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education. Sam Ulumeku, the current INEC National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education. Now, ladies and gentlemen, something again you should know. Like I said, this is the period of breaking news. We should give it all out. We have told you that right now, right about now, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, yes, the SY INEC chairman has been relieved of his appointment and sent on an immediate indefinite leave. Of course, his sins, one of his sins, which the APC could not tolerate again, was that he was registering political parties at the end of his tenure, knowing fully well that this could jeopardize and cripple, and if not equally, affect the chances of the Jagaban in the 2027 election. Another offense, a sin he committed again, which was very grave, was that in Imo State, according to the informant, to the Jagaban who opposed UZODIMMA, he was covertly, supporting a governorship candidate who was not even APC, giving him every opportunity, giving him every expo, giving him every guideline and opportunity to truncate the ruling APC in Imo State. Ladies and gentlemen, because of this, Professor Mohammed Yakubu is history. And I've told you 4 likely people who will succeed him. 1, a judge of the Court of Appeal, Justice Abdullahi Mohammed Liman. 2, Lai Olurode, a former INEC National Commissioner and retired professor at the University of Lagos. 3, Kenneth Ukegbu, a former director of procurement of INEC. 4, Sam Ulumeku, the current INEC National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education. Ladies and gentlemen, our source also told us that usually, the president had actually got somebody in mind. But of course, he was told you can't just impose somebody. Make it look like there are more. Select more. And of course, the consideration this time is for the Southeast, because they have said, it's for the Southwest rather, said the Southwest has not produced any chairman of INEC ever. It has always been either the North Central, the Northeast or Southeast. But this time they said it has to go to the Southwest or areas close to the Southwest. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's where you have it. That's the breaking news. That is it. Whatever goes around comes around. Professor Mohammed Yakubu, you thought you were untouchable. You thought you were infallible. You thought because you wine and dine with the mighty, nothing could befall you. You were even looking into another appointment, a continuation of your tenure, tenure as a chairman of the INEC. Unfortunately, what goes around comes around. You are being summarily dismissed. You had every opportunity to write your name in gold in Nigeria. You had an opportunity to have umpired a great election that could have turned the resources, turned the fortunes of this country. But instead, you danced to the Jagaban. Instead, you danced naked because of the Jagaban. Instead, you sold your name, the opportunity, into shame. It's unfortunate this has happened to you. But get cracking, Professor. Listen, you hated the Biafrans, you hated the people of the Southeast. But let me give you a final breaking news. One day, someday soon, you will hear about Biafra. You will hear about the redeclared sovereign United States of Biafra. Then you will know, when you see the glory of the Southeast people, the glory of the Biafra man, when you see the successes, the ultimate achievements and breakthroughs of the redeclared United States of Biafra, you will be sorry that you had a chance to have umpired a Biafran man as the president of Nigeria, but instead you looked the other way. You washed your hands away and you sold it to the highest bidder, the Jagaban. The Jagaban. Today you are sorry. Shame has followed your name and it will follow you for eternity. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we are. God bless Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, sustain his health. God bless Dr. Ngozi Arabueze, our Deputy Prime Minister. God continue to be with Simon Ekpa, even in his travels in Finland. We know it's a matter of time. His appeal will pull through, and we shall be clinking glasses and shouting, Eureka, Eureka! He's out. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. Bless the redeclared sovereign United States of Biafra. I look forward to another audio. God bless you as you listen. Bye-bye for now.
Yeah, check me out. Superstars Media. Lord Lugard, Bloomington, Lord Lugard, and it's Wild Flora Show. 1914 amalgamation is what we dying for. 3 nations to 1 nation, ever since annihilation. Nepotism is nonsense. You and you, clap your hands. Biafra gonna come, clap your hands. Biafra, Oduduwa, we're free now. Freedom is gonna come, we're free now. Yeah.